There is a civilization on Earth that outnumbers humans by millions of times. A civilization that has existed for over 100 million years, while ours is barely 100,000. We interact with it every day. We depend on it. Sometimes we even get attacked by it. And yet, it doesn't even know we exist. This is not science fiction. This is bees. At first glance, bees seem small, fragile, and easy to ignore. But that's exactly the illusion. Because when you zoom out, you don't see insects anymore. You see a system, a fully functional civilization. There are more than 20,000 species of bees on Earth, more than all species of mammals and birds combined. But only a tiny fraction of them, just 8 species, actually produce honey. And only 2 of those have been domesticated by humans. Now here's where it gets insane. There are roughly 350 million honeybee colonies in the world, each containing anywhere from 10,000 to 60,000 individuals, which means there are trillions of honeybees alone. And if you include all other species, the number could reach tens of quadrillions, meaning for every single human, there could be millions of bees. And if you combine their total biomass, bees may even outweigh humanity. But numbers alone don't make a civilization. Structure does. And inside a single hive, you'll find something that looks less like a group of insects and more like a highly organized society. A hive can contain tens of thousands of individuals, divided into 3 main roles: workers, drones, and a queen. And each role is brutally specialized. Worker bees, which make up about 98 to 99% of the population, are the backbone of the entire system. They build the hive, collect nectar and pollen, feed the larvae, clean waste, regulate temperature by flapping their wings, store food, guard the entrance, and defend the colony. They don't rest, they don't retire. They work until they die, and during summer, that lifespan is only around 15 to 38 days. The queen bee, despite her title, does not rule in the way human monarchs do. She doesn't command or control. Her primary role is reproduction. A healthy queen can lay up to 2,000 eggs per day and up to 1,000,000 eggs in her lifetime, ensuring the survival of the colony, while the drones, the male bees, have only one purpose: to mate with a queen. They don't gather food, they don't build, they don't defend, and after mating, they die almost immediately. And if they don't mate, they are often expelled from the hive and left to starve. A system that is cold, efficient, and entirely focused on survival. But the most fascinating part is that this entire system has no central leader, no brain controlling everything, and yet the colony makes decisions as if it were a single organism. When a hive needs a new home, scout bees are sent out to explore, and when they return, they perform a waggle dance, a precise movement that encodes direction, distance, and quality of a potential location.
Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Then bring it down hard. Someday. Dance off, bro.
Other bees observe these dances, compare different options, and gradually reach a consensus, not through authority, but through collective agreement, a form of decentralized decision-making that scientists often compare to a primitive form of democracy. This system has proven to be incredibly effective because bees have survived for over 100 million years through extreme climate changes, mass extinctions, and environmental shifts that wiped out countless other species, including the dinosaurs. They existed long before humans appeared and will likely continue long after we are gone. But survival is only part of the story. Bees play a critical role in maintaining life on Earth today. They are responsible for pollinating around 75% of flowering plants and roughly 1/3 of the food we consume, including fruits, vegetables, nuts, and even crops that feed livestock. Without bees, ecosystems wouldn't collapse instantly, but they would become far less diverse, less stable, and far less productive. And here's the irony. We often think we have domesticated bees, that we control them for honey production. But in reality, we are simply exploiting a system that evolved long before us. Bees don't make honey for humans. They make it for themselves. Honey is their primary food source, a highly concentrated energy reserve for survival during winter, and it is so chemically stable thanks to its low water content, acidity, and natural antibacterial compounds like hydrogen peroxide that it can last for thousands of years without spoiling. In fact, archaeologists have found jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are still edible today. The process of making honey itself is a complex biochemical system. Bees collect nectar from flowers, store it in a specialized stomach where enzymes begin breaking down complex sugars into simpler ones like glucose and fructose. Then they pass the nectar between individuals, adding more enzymes each time, before finally storing it in hexagonal wax cells and evaporating excess water by fanning their wings, turning it into the thick, stable substance we know as honey.
Nice.
And even the honeycomb structure itself is a masterpiece of efficiency. The hexagonal pattern is not random. It is the most efficient shape for storing the maximum amount of volume with the least amount of material, minimizing wasted space and energy. A solution so optimal that it has fascinated mathematicians and scientists for centuries. So what makes bees so successful is not individual intelligence. A single bee is relatively simple, but together they form something far more powerful. A superorganism, where the colony itself functions as a single living entity with distributed intelligence, shared responsibilities, and collective decision-making. Humans evolved to think as individuals, to prioritize personal survival and identity, while bees evolved to function as a unified system, where the survival of the group overrides everything else. And that difference may be the key, because human civilization is built on knowledge, memory, and accumulated progress. But it is also fragile, dependent on complex systems that can fail. While bee civilization is simple, resilient, and optimized purely for survival, it doesn't need to innovate rapidly, it doesn't need to expand endlessly, it only needs to persist. So what really defines a successful civilization? Is it intelligence, technology, and dominance? Or is it longevity, stability, and survival? Because if survival is the ultimate metric, then bees may already be the most successful civilization in the history of life on Earth. They have outlived dinosaurs, adapted to countless environmental changes, spread across nearly every ecosystem on the planet, and built systems that continue to function with incredible efficiency without central control, without ego, and without the need for awareness as we understand it. Meanwhile, human civilization, despite all its achievements, is still young, still evolving, and still vulnerable, which raises an uncomfortable question. Are we truly the peak of evolution, or just another temporary phase in a much longer story? Because right beneath our noses, all this time, there has been a civilization far older, far more stable, and far more enduring than ours, quietly buzzing, unnoticed. If this changed the way you see the world, hit like. And if you want to explore more hidden systems like this, subscribe. Because we don't just live on Earth, we share it with civilizations we barely understand.